Hey everyone, welcome back to another interview with one of my authors. It's Dr. Anita Jackson, founder and CEO of Her Global Voice, where we are creating strategic stage platforms for women to share their voice. And I'm also the publisher and founder and CEO of L.M.W Productions and Publications, where we take transformational messages of business and experts around the world to share the message around the world. And joining me today for our very first book, Her Global Voice, Awakening the Unlimited Woman Within, is Lisa Wilson, all the way in Portland.
No, Timmins, Ontario, Canada.
She's in Canada. Oh my goodness. Wow, for some reason I had you in Portland. I don't know why I did. Because everybody I know is in Portland now.
Yeah, because that's where we met.
That's right. That's exactly right. So she's in Canada and she's joining me today as we have a conversation about this book and our platform, Her Global Voice. We are on a mission to help more women connect to their voice. Voice is a multi-level understanding and perspective. And when a woman really connects to all pieces of her voice and she's willing to show up in her own truth and her own power, she can make a huge impact in her family, in her community, and the world. Lisa and all these amazing women who've joined this particular anthology have said yes to sharing their story. And let me tell you, these women have really opened up their heart. They've opened up their beingness to share their story, as well as the wisdom that they gained from it and the strategies that help them show up in their own life and in their own business, so that you can do the same, so that you can know there's a community waiting for you to come home. Come home to the sisterhood where you can be supported in sharing your voice at all levels. So Lisa, thank you so much for being here with me today to have a conversation about Her Global Voice.
Thank you, Dr. Anita.
That
was a wonderful intro. That was a wonderful intro.
Thank you very much. I try. So my first question to you, Lisa, so that everyone can really get a chance to know who you are and how you show up in the world, is just that. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and how you show up in the world?
Sure. So I've gone through iterations of my business and who I want to help, but I really love helping leaders, specifically with leaders. I get really passionate about it, and I was discussing it to update my website recently, and it came easy to me because I had some really, really great mentors. I had specifically female mentors. I did have a lot of male mentors, but I did have female mentors as well. And I got all of the training right up front. So things that people just don't get time to see. So now I run a business, I help leaders, and my background is human resources. So I do some HR consulting as well. I like the small to medium-sized businesses who wouldn't otherwise have that support. I like to give them that human resources support, where to make sure that they are getting their teams running in a way that you would see in more of a corporate environment, but in the smaller businesses, because I think part of women having their voice is having more small businesses.
Yes.
I don't specifically only coach women. I do coach women and men, because I think that we all need to find a voice, our voices, yes. Just different ways for women and men.
You know what, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know what I love about what you're saying, and I don't think I knew, or if I knew it went in one ear and out the other, I apologize, but I did have a background in human resources. And the reason why that's so powerful to me is I think we women who are in the coaching field and stepping into more leadership, because women are really stepping into becoming leaders in their personal life as well as in their business, having your resource helps us understand that we can have help for our small businesses too, which I think is huge, because I'm literally, I came home and going, I need to build, I need help. I'm at a point in my business where I need to start thinking about hiring someone on, and I don't know the first step. So I'm like, okay, call Lisa to talk about the first step of hiring someone on. What's the best way to do this so it's really smooth and clean? So I appreciate that you brought that forward.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of pushed that aside for a long time, because I was in the corporate world, and I think I got a little jaded after a while, and I didn't want to be there anymore. Where I was, I couldn't influence in the way I wanted to. I could, but only in a small way. I couldn't influence the sort of the entire company. In this way, I can help. I feel I can help in a far better way, and a far stronger way. And that in that first step is, I think you already know, but that first step is knowing your vision and your mission, making sure whoever you hire understands your vision, mission, and values. Because if they don't buy into it, they're not going to be They're
Makes
not going to be
so
the
much
best.
sense. So much sense. So
Yeah.
today, what we're going to be talking about is our very first volume of Her Global Voice. We are doing a series of books and a series of events that go along with those books. In addition to TV show and podcast, we've got a lot of speaking opportunities for all of our authors who are part of this book and other women who will be joining us just as well. So this very first book is coming out in January 10th and 11th. We're doing it as a ebook as well as a printed book, and then of course as a conference. We'll have a link available for you so that you can sign up and be there with us. It's going to be phenomenal. I definitely want you to be there. And so Lisa, I want to talk to you about what does it mean for a woman to own her voice? Why is that so crucial now from your perspective?
I think it's always been crucial, but I think we didn't know how.
Ooh, that's
Um,
good.
yeah, I think we didn't know how. And I think it was hard to find why we didn't know how, because it was subtle. And I
Yeah.
think I personally went through something. So I've always been very confident. I worked for really great companies. And growing up through my career, I was celebrated. I was in the manager's position by the time I was 28, and the company tried for me twice. Like, they offered me the job. I knew I wasn't ready. I said no, and they came back and tried again. Second time I took it. And so I had all that celebration. And then I worked for a company that I didn't fit their values and they didn't fit mine. And
Mm-hmm.
the longer I was there, the more, so I'm still pretty powerful in my voice, and I would fight back. And they would tell me I was wrong, and I would say, no, I'm not. And I fought back for the longest time. But what you don't realize is that after 3 years of that pick, every day I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong. It dulls you, and you can't help but let it in. And I left there, and I knew when I left there, I always knew when I left there that I was going to go into my own business. And I didn't realize how hard it had hit me until I tried to start my business. And my confidence was so shaken. So shaken. And people who knew me from before were going, why aren't you doing an HR business? And I was like, because I can't. Because I don't want to. I'm going into coaching. I love coaching. I'm only going to coach. And I totally went away from my background in human resources. And it's been 5 years, and I'm just coming back to it now. Because it took so long. And when I think about that, I think about how we get that as women right from an early stage.
Oh, true.
We get it really early. And I see it. I have 2 stepkids. And I see it in them, and I see how my stepson is treated, and I see how the stepdaughter is treated. Now, we have a little extra piece in there. The stepdaughter currently identifies as male, and regardless, she is treated as a she, and her voice is dulled. She gets little things that get said to her that I'm like, ooh, no, and I'm catching them now, and I'm seeing how it is. But it was things that I didn't see, like just little things like don't cry, or don't, when we're mad, being called crazy or stupid, or,
or girls should be seen and not heard.
Yes. See, I never got that one particularly, but I did get when my emotions were too high, that I should shove them, push them down.
Yes.
Which is what I talk about in my chapter, because now for me, the emotion is often anger, because I push everything down. So when it blows, right? It comes out as anger. But there is wisdom in that anger, and I need to listen to it. And I'm relearning that now.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you brought this forward, because I don't think out of all the conversations I've had so far for all of our authors for both volumes of this book, that anyone has said that. And what you said that I heard was that we've always had a voice, but it's been dulled because of small, subtle ways. And it's the what do they call it? It's the little foxes that spoil the vines. Is that the old adage? Is that how it goes?
I'm not sure about that one. I've not heard that one, but yes, that would make sense.
I think that's the way it goes. Forgive me. Someone correct me below if I didn't say it the right way. But what I love about it is that I don't think when something is subtle, you don't see it, because it's so subtle. It's blind. It's in a blind spot. And it's become the norm. We accept it. We've allowed it to become a truth when it's actually a false truth. And
Yeah.
I just think this is so powerful that, we don't realize that we've probably had it done to us and we are unconsciously doing it to other people just as well.
And I remember a story now of a woman that I worked with, and she would trigger me. And the reason she triggered me is because she flew off the handle about things, and she wanted to move forward in the company. And she could, and she should have, but she would fly off the handle. And she called me on it once because this is what happened. She flew off the handle, and I would put her back in her place, and I would say, "Hey, enough.
Yes.
Stop it."
Yes.
And then a man flew off the handle in her presence, and I didn't stop him. And she came to me and said, "Why didn't you stop him?" And I said, "I didn't stop him because he's a man and he won't be punished for it. You will.
Oh, look at that.
He won't be punished for it. But you, on the other hand, you keep flying off the handle. They will never listen to you.
Yeah.
You have to go in controlled."
Yeah.
And she called me on it, and she's like, "How come you didn't go after him? You go after me every time I lose." I'm like, "Because you're a woman, and that's our reality." And I
Wow.
realize now in our wisdom that that was wrong. What I needed to be doing was teaching them to
Both.
hear it anyway.
Yes.
You need
Yeah.
to be hearing in both ways. That, yes to her, look, go and hear what your emotion has to say and come back and tell us what you need to tell us. Because when you're telling it in that way, we're not hearing you. That still is a thing.
Yes.
But to the men, you can't lessen her because her emotions took over.
Right.
Because when your emotions take over,
your emotions are different. I can't tell you how much I love this sample because, we need to. I'm one of those individuals who grew up in a family kind of like you, or well, I don't know, if, maybe from a job perspective, I don't know about a family perspective, but I know that my emotions were dangerous. And I got in trouble for because I was an intense child. I got you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, you need to just, be quiet. And so I learned to stuff everything in. And I have to admit, to this day, if I'm going through something difficult, I keep it here and I process it within me. Then once it's processed, I'll share it with the whole entire world. I'm now learning how to, in a midst of it, this is what I'm feeling right now. I'm scared, or I'm pissed, or I'm hurt, or I'm angry, or whatever the situation may be. I'm giving myself a voice. And the first voice, because in another interview, all of you heard me say, you have multiple voices. And the first person who needs to hear your voice is yourself. And I don't think we hear, I think one of the subtle ways is we have these outside things that tell us not to even hear our own voice, not to hear our own anger and frustration or fear or sadness. We just don't do it. And of course, I'm coming from a field as a psychologist. I'm not supposed to hear mine. I'm supposed to hear everybody else's. So I've double trained. So I love this.
And that's the other thing. Subtly, we're told, take care of everyone else.
Yes.
And so that's another thing I saw with my stepkids and that was the trigger for me, is that the stepdaughter has more than one set of earphones, and her brother lost his charger. And he knocked on the door and said, "Where's the charger?" as though it belonged to him.
Right.
And I was triggered. And I said, "That's not your charger. You need to ask her to borrow her charger." And she was like, and she kind of made a joke and said, "See what I have to put up with?" But it was a joke. And I said, and he said, "Well, you have 3." And I said, "She could have 47. Right. She says, "No, it's no."
That's right.
And I thought the interesting thing is, I think probably from all of the messaging she's received in her life is that if she has it, she's meant to give it.
She has to give it. Right.
Him on the other hand, him on the other hand, if he has it, he doesn't have to share if he doesn't want to.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and it's subtle and we don't even think about it. It really is. And it's only because I coach and I'm seeing these things and I'm getting triggered by them now. So I'm seeing it and I get triggered and then I go, okay, why am I triggered?
Yes. And that's honestly the way you're supposed to do it. So
yeah. Okay, why did I just get triggered by that? And I conveniently can go back with my stepkids, and I went back with my stepson and said, "Look, I'm really sorry. That was an overreaction on my part, but I need you to understand, if something doesn't belong to you, you have to ask permission."
Yes.
And I need you to be really clear on that. And it doesn't matter how many they have. If they don't want to give it to you, you don't get to have it, and you don't get to guilt them for saying no.
Yeah. And you don't go take it just because.
Yes. If the answer was no, the answer was no. And he went, okay, I can, he's a great kid
now. Yeah.
Yeah. He can totally take that in and he'll learn from it. But I know initially my reaction was, overreaction.
Well, you know, whether it's overreaction or not, the end result is you were able to use it as a powerful teaching moment because you were able to, in your awareness of what's going on, connect to your own truth and then go share it through your own voice and cause this ripple effect of change. And that's what I want people to see, is that we as women can have this ripple effect of change by owning our emotions, by owning our voice, and sharing it at every single time if you do it. Because I think you handled it beautifully. I think the fact that you did blow up, it was normal and natural. You were able to see the lesson, you got the awareness, you changed it as quickly as possible. You went back and made sure it was right for all the people involved, and everybody came out on the positive side. Most people don't even take time to do that.
No, yeah, no, they don't. And because what will happen then, so I'm okay with being vulnerable in that and saying, so integrity is very important to me. So when I mess up, I need to say, I messed up, and here's how I messed up. And that's really important to me. And it happens throughout my whole life, and always, it's been that way. And so I'm okay with that. But I think with a lot of people, I felt the guilt of that, right? So I blew up and I felt the guilt. And when we feel the guilt, then we spiral into another space.
Yes.
And because I can do that and be that vulnerable with my stepkids, because I want them to be that vulnerable with me, that I can go and say, I overreacted and I'm really sorry. But I think for others at times, and I'm sure there are situations in my life with people that I couldn't be that vulnerable with, that I didn't go back and say, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And this is what was going on.
We're all growing because, you know, sharing our voice at all levels is a journey, particularly because it's not something that we've learned. It's not something that we're comfortable with. It's a step-by-step process. It's an ongoing process. I've like you have done places or had experiences where it was easy to go back and say, yes, I'm sorry. And I really, really wanted, the value of that relationship was so important. I was able to go back and say, yes, I'm sorry. And there are others where it's like, I'm not ready to say I'm sorry, or whatever the situation would be, just let it be what it is. But hopefully you learn the lesson and the next time through it doesn't work. So let's go a little bit deeper and kind of close out our conversation a little bit. Let's talk about your chapter. So your chapter title, working title as of right now, is Listen, Accept, Then Do. Listen, accept, then do. Tell us a little bit about your story and why, because that's a very powerful title.
Yeah, thank you. That is our working title that we came up with very quickly today. And I struggled with it because I went through a really rough period. I didn't listen to myself, and I had a panic attack. And I don't have panic attacks, so I know others do. And I premise this with that is I'm not prone to panic.
Yes.
When I had this panic attack, I needed to listen, and it was about having a surgery, and it was having half my thyroid removed, and everything in me said, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
But my mother is a nurse, and the hospital and doctors know what they're doing, right? And we respect them, we trust them, and by the way, the surgeon is a very good surgeon. Like I wasn't going to a bad doctor. He's very well. So I talked myself out of it. No, he's a great surgeon, whatever. But this wasn't his fault. This was a misreading of, and I didn't get to that part yet, but there was a misreading of what was in my thyroid. They thought it was growing and it was not. So someone misread my ultrasound.
Wow.
And that he thinks it might have been a typo. So he is wonderful. He is a wonderful doctor. He has learned the lesson now. He said, in the future, I'm going to make sure that there's 2 done so that we know for sure. And I'm never gonna let this happen again. And he totally is that kind of doctor. And following that, same things were going on. Just throughout this whole process, there's been things happen where I did not listen to myself.
Yeah.
And I got angrier and angrier around all of this. I was so frustrated. I was the person who did P90X and CrossFit and worked a full-time job and did my coaching on the side. Like, I had a lot of energy, and I went from that to, if I worked a part-time job, I had to sit on the couch for 2 days. And I just got angrier and angrier, and I still wasn't listening to the anger.
Yeah.
And so
I love that, because you're confirming that, there's multiple levels to our voice. Your body has a voice, and it's trying to tell you something, and you were listening. Yeah.
No. And the anger was blocking me at the time. So the anger had something to tell me, and if I just listened to it, I could have got beyond it and accepted where I was. And
Yeah.
so instead of fighting on those days when I was stuck on the couch because I was so tired, and I'm going to explain that a little bit because everyone just says, have a nap. And if you talk to anyone who's got thyroid issues, they'll explain it to you. When you have that low day, you can't have a nap and feel better. It is a full body, someone called it cellular tired. You are
Yes.
tired
Yes.
right to your cells.
That's deep.
It is, yes, it is totally a cellular tired, and you cannot get over this. Like, you lay on the couch and watch silly shows because you can't even concentrate on them.
Yeah.
So if I just accepted that and laid on the couch and enjoyed my time, just accepted that I needed to rest right now, then I could have heard my wisdom.
Yes.
But I fought where I was. So I didn't listen to what I had to say. I didn't listen to my anger. I didn't listen to what was going on. And then I couldn't accept where I was. And because I couldn't accept where I was, I got angrier, which now blocked the wisdom in the anger.
You know, and this is so powerful to me because, you know, again, you're confirming, you know, we have to make an intentional effort to listen to all parts of our voices, our body voice, our emotional voice, and we have to
Yes.
be willing to give it value, because I think we as women don't value all aspects of our voice, and we've been taught not to value it in really big,
Yes.
bold, kind of audacious, crazy ways, and very subtle ways. And
Mhm.
I mean, I love your story. I'm sorry that you went through what you went through, but I appreciate the wisdom that you're bringing forward, so that more people can say, more women particularly, can understand through your story how listening to your voices is
Yes.
so crucial to your success. This is huge.
Yeah, and the moment I did accept and stopped fighting, and so this is, I say this, instead of trying to push back into getting into P90X again or getting into any of those things, I can walk my dog for 20 minutes a day and do 10 minutes of some other more intense exercise. And when I say more intense, that includes yoga. So, so, so I can do 20-minute walk with the dog in 10 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah.
And once I just accepted that and stopped trying to push further, I've gotten a lot healthier. And it really, for me, it's now diet. So
Yeah.
things have changed on that front too. And I'm working on diet end.
I also think you had an evolution, because sometimes people have to look at the life and go, as much as I want to go backwards because it seemed like that was perfect, that chapter has now closed, and I can only go up. So I have to be willing to accept that that's not going to work anymore, and I got to do something different, and it may be even better for me because it's different.
And you have to mourn. You have to mourn.
And you have to, ooh, that's good.
Yes, because I'm going through a second mourning now. So I had to mourn the energy loss, and I had to mourn all of that and let go of the old Lisa.
Point.
Yeah. And now I have to let go, and I have to change again, and I have to mourn. So sugar is bad for me. It is really bad for me. It is causing a lot of problems hormonally and everything else. So when I went off it for a time, and then I let it sneak back in a little bit.
Little soda showed up somewhere, and there you go.
Yeah. Cake and all the wonderful stuff. And I've even tried the like sugar replacements. Those are no good for me either. So I have to let it go. But here's the problem. I am the family baker. I bake all the pies. At Christmas, I make brownies that everyone loves. I make butter tarts. I make all of these things. And I've just said to my mom, this is the last year of pies. Going forward, if you want pies, you guys are going to have to buy it.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to make it, but I won't be involved because there's no chance of me not licking that spoon.
Like, I cannot do it. So there you go.
Yeah, and so it's really hard because now the next thing I have to mourn is that I was the baker. And like at Christmas, I would give my staff a little thing of baking. That's what I've always given. And my massage therapist and everything, I was at my massage therapist and I was telling her I was going to let it go, and she's like, but I'll still get my baking right. I'm like, no, you will not. No, it's got to go now because it's not a piece I can have anymore.
Yeah.
And so now I have to mourn that part of me too.
But you know what I appreciate about this is you know, if we women understood the process of the journey that we go through, it's like the heroine's journey, much like it is exactly the hero's journey. It's just maybe a little bit different for the heroine's journey. The journey that a woman goes through as she continues to become more of who she is. So you went through this journey, and now you're having, I mean, I appreciate again that you're bringing up this whole aspect of mourning, because I had a very big lesson in knowing that I hadn't mourned a part of my own voices earlier on. So this is like, oh, this is so timely that this is coming up. And I hope other people are realizing, if you're going through shifts, if you're going through transformations, you know, give yourself permission to mourn let your voice, your body, your spirit, all of these parts of you feel what it feels, but don't give up, don't stop, keep going so that you can get to the other side. Because that's the key
Yeah.
to hero and heroine's journey, is you've got to learn the lesson and keep going so you can get out to get the gold prize, or the chalice is what it is, and have the kind of success that you want. So we're coming down to a close. Lisa, just wow, what some powerful nuggets you brought forward in our interview.
Thank you.
If people wanted to get a hold of you and connect, although your profile will have information in the book and you'll be able to connect to her through that, if you wouldn't mind sharing how the individuals connect if they wanted to work with you.
Sure. So on social media, I'm other than LinkedIn, I'm at L.M.W consultation.
L.M. Uh-oh.
Or
well, we had a little bit of a glitch, so a little glitch at the end. You sounded like a RoboCop.
Okay, I'll say it again, and you can just cut that out. So L.M.W consultation for all of the social media, so LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And actually, it's under L.M.W consultation on LinkedIn as well now, but you can meet me as Lisa Mae Wilson on LinkedIn.
And then, of course, again, all of her information will be at the end of her chapter so that you can connect to her in that way. So, Lisa, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your wisdom, your expertise, and tapping into your own individual voices and bringing it forward to help women listen, accept, then do. I love that, love that, love that. I think it's fantastic. And again, everybody, our book comes out January 10th and 11th. We'll have some information below so that you can sign up and come to our event and be impacted as women go share their story at a much deeper, richer level, and giving you strategies to connect to your voice, to share your voice, and make the impact you want in your family, community, and in the world. With that being said, thank you very much. Remember, you are unlimited. You are enough. You always have been, and you always will be. Until next time, take care of you.